Hey everybody, and Merry Christmas again. Jim here. I hope you had a great one. This is December 28th, and it's the one Sunday in the year when we don't have in-person worship. We're so thankful to all of our volunteers, and we say thank you and bless you. Have great time with your family and traveling for Christmas, and be safe and come back. But over the years, I've started doing a little recording for this day in case that you're sitting home and you want to flip on the computer and watch. And I thought of a lesson I wanted to share with you as we go into the new year. It's from a book I wrote a couple years ago, Leading from Horseback. And this is just one of those chapters I think that might serve us well. It's called The Patience Pole. It's a warm day, almost perfect. The sun is shining gently, there's a cool breeze in our faces, and Sari and I are doing one of our favorite things, running. We're out in the woods, crossing streams, dodging trees, running fast. Of course, when I say running, I mean Sari is running, and I'm holding on for dear life. I'm a paradox of laughing out loud one second and cringing in terror the next, because I may not have mentioned this before, but I'm not a great rider. I'm an okay rider, getting better. We crossed a stream, and I looked up as movement caught my eye ahead of us. Deer. 3 beautiful does were apparently alerted by our splashing. They stopped, and we stopped. Sari arched her neck and perked her ears forward as she examined these intruders on her trail. The deer were more inquisitive than startled, but after a long stare down, one of them bolted and the others followed. With no plan whatsoever, I squeezed with my knees and made a kissing sound, which is my signal to Sari to run like a rocket. I yelled out loud, "Let's get 'em, girl!" And off we went. Truthfully, the deer were never in any danger of being caught, and I sure didn't have a plan for what to do if I caught one, despite my bold and impulsive declaration. But it was a fun race for us, and I think the deer had a good chuckle too. I knew this trail well. If the deer continued their trajectory, they would intersect with Sari and me in about 50 yards. So instead of a direct pursuit through the trees, we bolted up the track. Sure enough, the 3 deer spilled out of the woods right in our path, and the pursuit picked up more speed. Sari had the idea now. This was a chase. I'm sure she had no better clue than I did what we would do with a deer if we caught it, but logic didn't allow those calculations in the heat of the moment. We were running hard and fast, and that's what Sari was born to do. I laughed at a fleeting thought about the Narnians chasing the white stag and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. If you caught him, he would grant you wishes, but the white stag was never caught in Narnia, and in a few seconds I found out why. Those does, with their graceful bounds, looked back at us and seemed to grin mischievously, and then shifted into a warp speed that Sari and I could not match. I smiled at their beauty and amazing speed as they flew into the thick woods, safely out of reach. Sari seemed satisfied. The intruders had been expelled, and she could resume as the undisputed queen of the wood. Like those deer, Sari was born to run. And when she runs, it's like music. I wish you could see her run. It's like poetry. It's like a symphony building to a crescendo. You don't have to be a horse person to appreciate the fluid beauty of movement. You can see such beauty when a wave crashes into white foam on the rocks, or when a hawk tucks in its wings for a dive, or when an athlete at the top of his or her game performs at the pinnacle of human ability. It's hard to describe the beauty of a horse in motion unless you've seen an Arabian horse swallow up the ground in strides that seem to barely touch the earth. It's like flying without wings. Neck arched, tail held high, and to be on the back of a galloping horse and not fall off is an honor. When you fall off, it doesn't really feel like an honor, but when things work just right, there's a partnership and a friendship that's forged between human and horse at speed. Sari was born to run. But I'll tell you what she was not born for, what aggravates her, irritates her, and goes against her grain: standing still. As much as she loves to run, in an equal measure, she seems to despise standing still. She will huff and blow and swat her tail and stomp her feet. She'll toss her head and pull at the rope as if to say, "Why are we just standing here? We're wasting time. We need to move." With life as with horses, there's a time to run and there's a time to stand still. Sari can't run all the time or in every circumstance and condition. Sometimes she has to walk, and sometimes she has to stand still. And so we practice. We practice standing still. Leadership is about movement, helping a group move from point A to point B. But sometimes leadership is also about standing still, slowing down, stopping to listen, learn, evaluate. Sometimes leadership is moving, but sometimes it's waiting. I can relate to Sari's impatience. Perhaps you can too. I like to go fast if it's in my own direction and at my own pace. Sari comes by this desire to run naturally. While all horses, of course, are mammals and they're warm-blooded, we mean something different by a hot-blooded horse. Horses are categorized informally by their temperament. Arabians and thoroughbreds are called hot-blooded because of their energy. They're ready to go. Big draft horses like a Clydesdale or Belgian, they're never invited to the Kentucky Derby because they're considered cold-blooded. Their nature is slower and calmer. They can run if they have to, but they'd much rather take a nap. You can probably think of people, family members, co-workers, church members, who might also be categorized as either hot-blooded or cold-blooded. Waiting is especially hard for hot-blooded people. Sari is an Arabian and fully owns that hot-blooded temperament. She strives to run. She enjoys running. In fact, it seems like she never gets tired. We both love running through the wooded trails. Running fast and far is fun to her. But sometimes she needs to stand still, like when I'm getting on her back, or when the terrain makes it dangerous to run, or when she just needs to listen to me for directions. She needs to stand still. Clinton Anderson is an Australian-born horseman who lives in the U.S. and has a popular TV show on Fox Sports. And he sells an interesting training device called the patience pole. It's simply a pole with a swivel at the top. The horse is tied to this pole and can move, but only in short circles so it can't get tangled or hurt itself. Even the most hot-blooded and patient horse finally discovers it can only move in tight circles. So it might as well settle down, think about things, and become a cooperative citizen. This isn't a punishment tool, it's a training tool. But the horse doesn't really realize that at first. Maybe it feels like a punishment. So it resists until it gets tired, and then the horse rests, listens, and waits. How about you? Has God ever attached you to a patience pole? You want to run, but you're forced to wait. It feels like punishment, restriction, timeout, or the penalty box. You're waiting for a decision, waiting for direction, waiting for a sign, waiting for an answer to your prayer. Sometimes it feels like God is not listening or has even abandoned you. But perhaps God is really just trying to get your attention, to get you to be still and listen and learn. So here's a question for you. How long can you wait? How long can you wait before you get anxious, confused, frustrated, afraid, or bitter? How long can you continue to work hard without recognition? How long can you stand true to your convictions while being misunderstood? How long can you wait for slower or meandering people to catch up with you? How long can you wait for God to answer before you start off with your own plan? Don't be too worried if you answer these questions, well, I can't wait very long. We're all in training. The ability to wait is really a sign of maturity, also intelligence and leadership. Waiting will test you. It will stretch you. Leaders must learn to wait if we're to be effective. When our kids were infants in the crib, I can remember the blood-curdling screams that meant either feed me, change me, or don't leave me. Training babies to sleep through the night is not for the timid. It can be quite nerve-wracking. We tuck ours in, make sure they were clean and dry, and then walk out of the room. And then the crying would start. And not just crying. They sounded like screams of desperation. To the baby brain, it's as if the loving parental unit drops into the abyss when they are out of sight. So we played a little game of peekaboo with ours to show them that walking out of the room didn't mean we dropped off the edge of the earth. Did it work? Not at first. There was still a lot of crying, but eventually they learned. It takes a while to learn things sometimes. You see, babies are among the least mature of our species, with politicians claiming the number one slot. Just kidding, politicians. It takes time to learn to wait. In fact, attention span and the amount of time a child or adult can wait are indicators of maturity level. When God is silent or when you don't know what to do, how long can you wait? Here's another analogy. Have you noticed that teachers are usually silent during tests? When I was in the 5th grade, some adults thought that my energy was guided by a mischievous streak. Some people say that's still true today. I can remember sitting in the classroom of Mr. Williams, a teacher that I really liked. We were taking a test one day, and I became stuck on one of the questions. It was multiple choice, and the more I read over the answers, the more A, B, and C seemed to be confusingly similar. As I muddled and mused about the merits of just guessing an answer, suddenly an idea came to me. I won't claim this as divine inspiration, but it was so innovative, so new, so bold that I felt adrenaline course through my veins. The idea seemed genius, at least to me. But did I have the boldness to pull it off? Throwing caution to the wind, I mustered my courage and raised my hand to ask a question and activate my scheme. Mr. Williams was huddled over a pile of papers on his desk and only looked up occasionally to make sure that all eyes were on our own paper. He saw my hand on one of his glances up and said distractedly, "Yes." Here was the moment of truth. With as much nonchalance as I could muster, I said, "I'm having trouble with number 5. Is the answer B?" Then before anyone, including Mr. Williams, realized what was happening, he replied in the same distracted voice, "No, it's C." Tick, tick, tick. It took 3 long seconds before Mr. Williams and the class recognized the subterfuge I had accomplished. Everyone laughed, including good Mr. Williams, and for a few short minutes, I was the acknowledged hero of 5th grade. Of course, this led to multiple imitations and copycat attempts, but none achieved the same magnificent result. Mr. Williams, like most teachers, remains silent during test because that's what teachers do. They teach during the teaching time but are silent during the test time. You see, good teachers don't give tests to hurt you. Good teachers give tests so you and they can find out what you know and what you don't know and then teach you what you don't know. God is a good teacher, and because of this, God is often silent during a test. It doesn't mean God doesn't like you. It doesn't mean God is trying to fail you. And it doesn't mean that God has abandoned you. It's just a test. It's not meant to hurt you, but to help you know and what you don't know. Then you can learn what you don't know. Sounds reasonable, except when it's happening to you. And it happens to all of us. Waiting is a test. But when it does happen to us, tests aren't merely theoretical. They're real, and they're often painful. In fact, tests are hard to recognize when you're in them because the word test doesn't describe the pain or the fear or the desperation you may feel. We're about to start a new year, and none of us knows what lies ahead. But we know that God loves us, and He's going to be with us the whole time, no matter what we face. We can probably also guess that in the new year, there'll be times when we need to run, times we need to walk cautiously, and times we need to wait. There may even be times when God puts you on the patience pole, and He is silent. When this happens, try to remember that God hasn't left you. He hasn't forgotten you or abandoned you. It's just a test. It's a time of silence, a time of waiting, a time of learning to trust Him more. Here's a short prayer for all of us. Heavenly Father, help us to run, walk, or wait close to you in this new year.